What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? And today is the third day of horror month for Halloween. All 31 days of Halloween. And today is a pretty dark one. I have one of my favorite horror mangas it's actually not necessarily one of my favorite, but one of the first horror mangas that I had read when I had started off reading manga. And this one is a real treat for me. So I'm going to introduce to you a manga that is pretty insane. Now, this manga does have mixed reviews. There's quite a few people who love it, and there's quite a few people who don't really get it. But I will say this, if you are new to reading manga, this is a great place to start. This is like beginner level horror for a lot of people. So this is a definitely good place to start. But there's some shit in this manga, alright? So be prepared. There are three things mixed into one to create this insane manga within this niche genre. And these three things are body horror, cannibalism, and survival. Then put all of them into a game format and you have today's manga, Friend Eater Classroom. And this manga is exactly what it sounds like. This manga is messed up and it only gets worse over time. This manga starts off with a heartbreaking bang. The main character has a crush on one of his classmates and decides to ask her out. However, the entire class had gotten an email about a game that describes the condition of each student and if they are a donor or infected. Well, the main character finally gets the courage to confess to his crush as she calls him out to the roof to have a conversation. But before she could actually answer, her head explodes. Bro's love died before it even began. And unfortunately, that's not the only time that it happens. Spoiler alert. It turns out that if you are infected, you have to consume the vaccine. The vaccine, however, is a body part of a person in the classroom. The vaccine could be somebody's hair, nail, or eyelash. And it starts off really simple at first, but the more someone goes from infected to healthy, the more extreme the conditions become. The conditions of the Friend Eater are pretty simple. Condition 1. Participants in the game are separated into two different types, healthy and infected. Condition 2. Emails are sent out twice a day. The first email is a status check and the second email is a confirmation of death and survival. Condition 3. If the infected ingest the vaccine, they will become healthy. Condition 4. If the infected person still retains their status after 1 p.m., they die. Condition 5. If anyone misses school, they die. Condition 6. If you take the wrong vaccine, it is a rule violation, therefore you die. Condition 7. If you leave the school grounds while the game is in place, you die. And condition 8. Those who are infected can spread the infection to other players. And for those players to survive, they must all consume the vaccines. Now, the unfortunate part is that when the game starts, not everybody understands the conditions of this game. Therefore, as the game goes on and people die, people start to realize that there are rules to this game. There are conditions, and in order to survive, you have to follow these conditions. Now, as this game gets extreme, the class starts to get nervous and, as you can expect, turn on each other. I mean, there are not many people who would sacrifice their left eye, even if it meant saving somebody else's life. This game is extremely unforgiving. Each time someone is infected, it's kill or be killed. The students will do anything to survive. Some students will kill while others use sex appeal to survive. Over time, you will see friends betray each other over and over and over again. The Friend Eater title becomes a little obsolete since in the end, the word friends no longer exists, since friendships are all destroyed. It is merely a game of survival. This manga is very addictive to read and will send you through a roller coaster of emotions as the people you would want to root for may or may not survive. It's like Game of Thrones, but the horror version. The real villain behind the story is actually pretty insane in itself. This manga is completed, so you can read this from beginning to end. And to be honest, once you start reading it, there's no way you can't finish it. The art is pretty decent and the storyline is peak. Each character is also full of emotion and has a backstory that makes them quite unique. If I was to rate this manga, it would definitely be a 9 out of 10 for me. I can't recommend this manga enough for horror month. I do say it is a 9 out of 10 and not a full 10 because there are some things that I have to rant about. And one of those things is the story has plot holes. The story has some insane plot holes that you don't really get answers to. Like, one of the big plot holes or one of the big questions that a lot of people ask is, how do they get infected? They just wake up infected and no one really kind of explains how they die. Their heads just explode. And those are one of the plot holes that kind of annoys, because again, it's the one thing in this manga that isn't explained. Even the ending, when you discover who the real villain of it all is, it doesn't really explain much. It does go into the villain's backstory and how it all started, or I shouldn't say villain, because it's not really a villain, but an antagonist, I guess you could say. And it is sad. This manga is sad. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm really not going to spoil it, but it does get... It's not... The ending you probably will not be happy by. But it is a good read. It is something you should definitely read for Horror Month. But that is all for this video. I just wanted to go into manga number 3 for Horror Month, and I can't recommend this manga enough. If you are new to horror, this is a great manga to read. But I will say that if you have read a lot of horror mangas, this manga might kind of suck for you, or it might not be what you would expect. It's not that great for experienced horror players or horror readers or horror watchers. It's just not that great. But for beginners, this is peak. It's absolutely peak. But again, that's it for this video. You guys know what it is. This is a short video as usual. My name is Robert J. Fox, and until next time, fuck off.
I got 69 bitches that don't do 69. I got 3 or 4 prospects who want to be mine. I got 9 baby mamas who claim that baby is mine. What do they all have in common? They all tell lies. It's all action, all passion, all work but no yeah. And the look in her eyes, you know she not acting. Turn the light off and watch me shine. I am absolute cinema, absolute cinema.